What is up, everybody? It's your boy Blaze McCoy live for another WrestleSense podcast. We got a special guest tonight. We got to talk about the show that was in the hometown of our hometown of Pittsburgh last night, AEW. And we're going to have a little fun with a game show. I got my game show host hat on. No, it's my pirate hat. We're going to play a little game in the beginning here with the boys and talk about some of the greatest rivalries in professional wrestling. If you ask me, they're not like they used to be, but we'll talk about that here, and we'll get down and dirty more about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling and have a special local focus. Our first ever guest here on the show is back once again to talk about, well, a brutal match that he was in this past weekend. We'll find out what's up with the boys as well. Let's bring on CJ. What's up?
What's up, my guy?
Same old. You know,
what's up, my dog?
Oh,
hey, Hot Wheels. How about get out of that chair? Walk. Oh man.
Oh, he's sharing his nuts.
Yeah.
Wally's here as always from the side.
Let's rock and roll from the side. Oh yeah.
Oh, we got Doc's love interest here as well, so they can bump uglies all show and have a good time with it. RSTV, big shout out to you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Andy Price, all the way from New Zealand, is here. Hot Wheels is in the building. Mad respect, my friend. Oh, he's laughing at you, CJ.
Sucks at life.
Let's bring in the man who was at the show. CJ didn't go. He could have went for free last night to the show and chose not. I didn't go either. Normally, that's the first Dynamite I missed. Weren't you were at all of them too in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I'm good.
But I think we kind of share the same sentiment on last night's show.
I think we do. We haven't been in. We'll get into it. Yeah, but I think we kind of do.
The last few weeks, I've been hype on it. Last night was a little bit down.
I mean, I won't, without giving anything away. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't say it was great. I mean, there's a lot of things that need time to breathe, and just placement of certain segments. I feel they should have been in different places. It was too much all at once.
Yeah. Well,
I guess
one positive I've heard from a lot of the communities is, we've preached about, there's no storylines, but last night
there's plenty of
they built a ton of stories last night, so I'm hype about it. The man who did go last night, Doc, is in the house. What's happening, brother?
What's up, guys? It was a fun time, man. I did something I've never done in my life, which is switch your seats. What'd you say?
Cheated and get a better seat.
I did cheat and get a better seat.
Hey, I've always wanted to do that, but we'll get into the AEW. We got a little game show we're going to pop on here in a minute, and we got a special guest. I don't know if he wants to join yet. He might be pooping or something. I'll wait till he joins with the camera, and we'll bring him on. So I don't know if he wants whenever he comes on. He's on. Yeah. We'll give him a formal introduction with his camera right now. So we are going to go into
I'll give it an 8.
A little game show here. So we're going to talk pro wrestling rivalries on our first segment. Maybe. Wait, hold on. So let me introduce. We started last year. We had our local focus, and we had our wrestling spotlight, and we brought this guy on. He is the host of Coffee with Rev on Twitter Spaces Tuesdays and Thursdays mornings. If you get up, take a look and just hang out with him. I did this morning. It was great. Currently, the Fight Underground champion, the Pit Fight champion, the Eclipse Heavyweight champion, the KSWA Tag Team champion, and after this week's brutal cage match, which we definitely will get into detail later on, still your RWA Heavyweight champion. Ladies and gentlemen, legend in the business, he is the Reverend Ron Hunt. Oh, he's got it. What's up? I thought that was the Mantis for a second.
Ultimo Dragon.
Rev's in the building. He's ominous. He's ominous. Ron Hunt right now. What's happening?
I'm the ominous one.
So, I mean, we'll get into more detail on your match, but real quick, the mask, is that something you've used before, or did you bring it out for the first time this past week?
This was brought out for the very first time. It's going to be something that's going to stick with me for quite some time. There's a particular reason for that. We can talk about it later, but this will be a good part of me for a little bit of time.
Well, you guys will get to see the whole ensemble and dressed in white, but it ended up in red by the end of the show. But we'll play a little game show with our guests here first, and we're going to talk a little bit about Dynamite, and then we're going to get into more about what happened in that brutal cage match over the weekend. So here's a little game show. All right, we got Kelly in the house and Jesse Jackhammer as well here, and Revy 5 belts in the building today. So
I love it.
Love it. Hey, you never have enough. Never have enough.
I want more.
Wrestling rivalries. I saw these on Facebook. It's Wrestling Gaff that puts this out, and they've been consistently building. There's 4 brackets. So we'll go through each of us and pick who you think would win this bracket. It's all personal, and you guys in a live chat do the same thing. It's all your opinion, but this one is
I already don't agree with the first round.
It's all right. You're allowed. This is all our opinion. And that's your WrestleSense. That's why we named this show WrestleSense, because you can like and hate whoever you want. So this first bracket is WWF Attitude, WCW, and Old School WWF. So CJ, elaborate. Which one do you disagree with?
Taker, Kane, Taker, Mankind. For sure.
Yeah.
I would definitely pick Taker, Mankind.
Okay. And then
I would keep Austin Vince. I would keep Austin Rock. And I'd probably keep Triple H fully.
So who's your final 2, and who would you pick overall?
On the Attitude bracket, I would probably pick Austin Rock and Austin Vince, and I'd probably go Austin Rock.
Okay. See, me, I'm a little weird because I'm a little biased because during the Attitude Era, I didn't watch a lot of WWF. On the left-hand side, I think I'd have to throw Austin Rock over there. And I'm going to, as much as Hogan Savage has legendary, Sting NWO was one of my favorite feuds throughout the whole thing. And I loved it. So I would, out of all these, my favorite personal, not to say it's the best, but my favorite would be Sting and NWO. What about you, Doc?
Oh my God, this is such a tough one to pick from. But the only one I would really change around is I would go Triple H Rock instead of Triple H Foley. However, Austin Rock would beat that out, and Austin Vince, I'd be Austin Rock on that side. The other side, though, I'm kind of torn because I really loved Brett and HBK's feud, but I really love Flair and Steamboats. I mean, they made history together. History. And another thing, too, about Steamboat, I would really love to have seen Savage and Steamboat. That was a really great feud. It invested a lot of us little kids who loved Ricky Steamboat. And then it was the first time I ever saw somebody go out on a stretcher was Ricky Steamboat, really. I mean, really taken out. And it broke my heart. So, I mean, but when you go to this other side, it's such a tight contest with these with all of these.
I see. I mean, that's where I differ from you, I think.
Oh, that's fine. You can differ
I'm
all
going
you want.
Brett Austin all the way.
All right. So who wins it, Doc?
Damn, you're gonna laugh at me because I was going the same way. I was going Brett Austin too, but
well,
it was.
I disagree, and then they agree. How about it?
Yeah.
But the only I really wish that Flair Steamboat would have beat HBK and Brett.
Well, you can pick any of the ones you want. This is just how they progress, and they're going to keep going.
But the Brett Austin one, if you look at all of them, no disrespect to the Hulkster and Randy, but they had a great feud. NWO Sting, that was a huge one, but Brett and Austin just told such a story. The fact that, you had two people who, one was supposed to be this heel who everybody freaking hated, and it's just the way Brett's whiny promos went, it kind of turned the tables for Bret the Hitman Hart, kind of forced him into that. He was forced into that heel role because of how heated this rivalry was. All right, I'm done.
Gotcha. Rev, what about you? Who's your favorite rivalry out of these brackets? It's not easy. There's a lot of good ones.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with, if we look at the attitude, I gotta go with Austin Vince. I think there was so much within that one, and just so many different dynamics. And right when you thought that it was nearing to an end, it had a new, different creative turn, and it kept going and it kept going. It was one of those fight forever type feuds. You just loved the back and forth. There was the people versus the authority. On the WCW side, as much as people ain't talking about it, I'm gonna throw one with the underdogs. I'm gonna go Hogan Savage.
To me, that's not an underdog. That's a good one.
Yeah,
everyone's sleeping on it. I thought it was Hogan and Savage.
That'd be.
And I wish we would have seen. I wish we would have seen what would have happened if that street fight would have happened for charity. They would have raised all the money for charity. That's what I want.
I love that.
Who's your final? Who's overall? Who takes it in this whole bracket, both sides?
Overall, I'm gonna give it to. I'm gonna give it to Austin Vince.
I dig it.
That was legendary. It did change wrestling a lot because you got the authority figure doing it. So, like I said, these are all opinion. So there's no wrong answers. I mean, these are all great ones. So let's go Ruthless Aggression versus the PG era. I'll start here. On the left-hand side, I'm a huge Jericho fan. But I like Trish and Lita as one of the best women ones back in the day. But I'm gonna stay with Triple H and Jericho on that side. On the right-hand side, see, this is the era I was a WCW guy during this time.
Where are you seeing? You mean HBK and Jericho?
HBK and Jericho. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was wondering where it was too. I thought
I'm a big Jericho guy. Actually, I would go Angle Lesnar over HBK Jericho because I'm a big Angle fan too. And the dynamic between those two was very funny and destructive. On the right-hand side, it's tough. None of these were really big for me, but if I would pick one overall in here, I'll go Cena and Rock. CJ?
I'm gonna shock. Maybe not, but on the Ruthless Aggression side, I'm going fucking Matt Hardy and Edge, man.
Yeah.
And on the PG era, I'm going Cena Rock, and I'm going Cena Rock to take it all.
All right, 2 for Cena Rock. What about you, Doc?
I was kind of with CJ on the whole Matt Hardy Edge thing, switching those around a little bit, because I think Matt Hardy and Edge kind of formed that realization into wrestling. That was its, that happened because that was a real affair between Lita and Edge behind Matt Hardy's back. So you kind of saw how heat between two people could be incorporated into making money. That's what I really loved about that. It was such a groundbreaking feud. Then you go down and you look at some of these other ones, like Cena and Edge. Absolutely not. I'm switching that with Edge and Taker because, I mean, look what Edge did. Edge cashed in the Money in the Bank against somebody.
That's right.
Who would dare step across the Undertaker and cross him? Edge did.
Yeah.
So there, I would Triple H, HBK. I agree on that one. I look at this one over here: Angle, Lesnar, HBK, Jericho. I'm going HBK, Jericho, just for the simple fact that Jericho cried actual tears when he had that great match, and then just pops him in the nuts. It was I thought it was one of the best things ever. But when it comes to that bracket and you get to the end of that, I am definitely 100% going at Matt Hardy and Edge on
Your favorite one overall?
On the PG era one, though.
Okay.
I'm looking at this one, and then I'd have to say again, testing that boundary between realism and is Punk and Cena. I really loved how that story went and how in the end he took the belt, blew a kiss to Vince, and went out through the crowd. And people were like, what the hell? The simple fact he said, I mean, the pipe bomb, think what you want about CM Punk right now. I get it. He's not really well liked right now because of all the bullshit.
I can't wait to see him at Wembley.
Me too.
We'll talk about that.
I like how he put a stop to us on that. But
that's a very big talking point.
But if you look at it, CM Punk, it told a hell of a story, man. It brought that realism again back in, like, oh my God, is he going to take the belt on ROH? You remember how he said all these things he was going to do with that belt? He actually walked into Comic-Con with a bag, like he was just there to have a good time. And Triple H was talking about the new era. And Punk goes, yeah, I have a question for. I'll never forget that. As long as I thought that was so awesome. And then you look down at Taker HBK. My God, it was like the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. I mean, my God, HBK was this close, this damn close, and boom, every time. And then he finally was like, "Fuck it, I'll put my career on the line," and that was it. That was the end of HBK, which, it was that last tombstone, up and down he went. So, but yeah, like I said, I think
who takes bracket 2 overall? Who's your favorite one of all of them?
Punk and Cena.
All right. Good
Cena.
Big shout out to my favorite people out there. D-Train's in the house. Chugga, choo-choo, my man D-Train. And the Goddess of Pain is in the building. Great to see you. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the shares.
I'm ready to run a train.
We got a 20 like.
Oh, man.
We got a 20 like goal again this week. If we can hit that 20 likes, I really appreciate it. We're at 9 already. So you guys keep sharing it and keep liking it.
The reason CJ said about the train is because he's hanging out with the king of one night stands here soon, Josh Sampson.
Not soon, all the time, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
All right, Rev, PG versus Ruthless. Who you got? Who's winning it all?
I'm going to go Ruthless. I'm going to give this one to Triple H and HBK.
I dig it.
I'm going to give this one to Triple H and HBK. You got to think the personal connection that there is there. I think just the familiarity that there is there. And I think when we switch this right over, I'm going to have it take both. I'm going to go with Taker and HBK just for the simple fact of that. I think we really saw a transition of eras just within that one particular match. And you saw, I think from a psychological standpoint, you saw phenomenal storytelling, just everything about it. If you're a wrestling fan that pulled on the heartstrings, and I mean, you're looking at two legends in the game. There's a reason why it's called the Showstopper, and the reason why I put him at the top of both brackets. Now, taking it all the way home, I'm going to definitely give it to the PG era. I'm going to give it to Taker and HBK.
Taker and HBK. And that's a lot of good points, too. I like the analogy of why, because it makes a lot of sense.
I'm surprised that HBK Flair isn't on there.
But was that a great rivalry or just a great match?
I don't know. Was that considered like PG era Flair's retirement?
I don't know. Maybe it's because there is a current one. We got 2 more brackets. Let's go. Here's bracket number 3. And these are the ones I like a little more. I wasn't big. I was always the alternative guy. I like the alternatives. We got WWE, ECW, and NXT here. So you guys in the chat, throw yours out too. For me on this one, on the left-hand side, right now it's Sammy and Bloodline for me. I mean, as much as I love some of those old ones, Roland Ambrose for the Shield, just the way recently, and what I've said before we started, today I don't think rivalries are as hardcore as they used to be. They're not as long as they used to be, but the Sammy and Bloodline is the exception to that rule. It's been a couple years. It's the best thing in wrestling right now, and it has been for a while, and I think it will be for a while. So I'll take Sammy and the Bloodline on that side. On the right-hand side, I'm going to take this one out of, I was going to say out of pure entertainment, Daniel Bryan versus the Authority, but I'm going to go with the tag team one. New Day and the Usos has been a rivalry with length, and that's what, I judge part of it too, is how long that rivalry was. Was it just a couple matches? Did it go back and forth? And New Day and Usos, they could rekindle that right now, and it would be one of the best tag team rivalries out there. Overall, I have to go Sammy Bloodline just because currently that's been the best thing in wrestling the last year. CJ.
Okay. I would agree about the Sammy Bloodline, but I am not picking that. Okay. I am going Raven and Tommy Dreamer.
Nice. You're not alone.
And on the right side, I'm going Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Good. And the ladies need the shout out too, man. Like I said with the Trish Lita thing, so I'm down.
And overall, I'm gonna go Raven and Dreamer.
Yeah, I mean we talk about WWE and AEW or WCW.
If you want to talk about like stories and rivalries, how can you not, like with Raven and Dreamer and Sasha and Bayley, man?
I like them. I like your pick. Very good. And that Raven Dreamer can't disagree with that. Doc.
My God, he took every word out of my mouth when it comes to Raven and Dreamer, because that was one of the best rivalries. That kept you locked. That kept you glued to ECW, especially the chair shot heard around the world when Dreamer just pumped up, got mad, and just took every ounce of torture Raven put him through with one chair shot. I thought Raven was dead. It's still, to my one of the top 5 rivalries in all of professional wrestling is Raven and Dreamer. So that definitely hits that bracket right there. Between Sammy and Bloodline, Rollins and Ambrose, Sammy Bloodline gets to the finals too. When I look at the other side, I'm going Bryan Authority over, and then I look up Gargano and Ciampa, because Gargano and Ciampa really told a huge story there. Best friends at one point. The crowd in NXT turned into ECW arena when he walked out. He had no music. I loved when Ciampa had no music, and you'd hear "fuck you, Ciampa," and they would just scream it, and he would just enjoy with his hands behind his back, just walking. That was one of the best rivalries I've seen in a long time, was Ciampa and Gargano. When it comes to Daniel Bryan versus the Authority, it was the first time ever the fans got behind a guy that they believed. They're the ones that wrote that story. Not booking, not Kevin Dunn, not any of them. The fans wrote Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him at this point, into that picture. When it comes to... Yeah, it is really tough to pick it overall, especially when you look at the symbolization that each of these rivalries, and even the ones that are all faded and didn't really get much out of it, like you said, didn't get really far in the brackets, they all have a great story behind them. But like I said, some of them just stick out, and of all of them, Raven and Dreamer sticks out the most. So I'm going with the Raven and Dreamer too.
And there's another point here, and I was just going to say, this rivalry hopefully isn't over. Maybe we'll see more of Gargano and Ciampa in the big sound. Now, speaking of Raven and Dreamer being a brutal rivalry, the man below me knows something about a brutal rivalry, and we'll talk about that a little later. But Rev, in this bracket, who you got, my brother? It's tough. This is the toughest one, in my opinion.
I already know where he's going. We the ones.
We the ones, baby. We the ones. I'm giving it to them. I love it. Everything about it. The biggest money maker in box office history right now. However, I'm going to throw a wrench in there. I'm going to get very analytical with this. because it says the greatest wrestling rivalry. I'm going to hit a U-turn and I'm going to say Gargano and Ciampa.
Okay.
True, that's in ring. Samian Bloodline's a lot of promos and backstage stuff.
Bloodline, when you look at the overall spectrum of it, I'm going to definitely give it to the Bloodline. If we just concentrate just solely in ring, the aggression, matching the attitude, and everything like that, especially in today's time, and being able to hook a crowd, I'm going to give it to Gargano and Ciampa.
Love it.
All right, I dig it. That makes total sense. One last one to go. And this one, this one's a little easier for me because I have an all-time favorite in here now. I believe the Angle Joe and Omega Hangman, I wouldn't be able to pick between those two either because the Angle Joe stuff and even throw in Styles, when those three were going at it in TNA, some of the best matches. I loved that shit back then. Omega and Hangman, we might see more of that. Who knows? Steen and Generico, that's a rivalry, that's a friendship and everything. So this one's my favorite bracket, these ones. Lawler and Kaufman made history. Okada and Omega, we might see that match later on this year. Von Erichsen, Freebirds, legendary as far as groups fighting each other. But me, it's Dusty Flair by a long shot in this one because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on WCW, world-class wrestling, Dusty chasing the belt, Flair being the best ever, the best promos, some of the greatest fights, the steel cages, bunkhouse brawls, Dusty Flair by a long shot in this bracket for me. CJ.
Oh, the two ones that stick out to me the most are Steen, Generico, and Punk Raven, actually, because Punk MJF, like with all the shit that Punk's done, like I say Punk Raven is better than Punk MJF. But I mean,
fair. Punk MJF might not be over.
On the left side, going to the finals, I'm taking Steen and Generico.
Okay.
And on the right side, I'm kind of with you, Blase, Dusty Flair.
That's my maximum male model name. Yeah. Come on.
And overall, I'm going to go Dusty Flair.
Gotcha. 2 for Dusty and Flair. Doc.
Steen and Generico definitely is going to that bracket right off the bat. I look at these other, and I look at all these other rivalries, and I mean, Raven and Punk kind of that surprised me that MJF and Punk beat Raven and Punk, because Punk, I think that really made CM Punk that rivalry. When you look at the other side, this is where I'm torn because I love the Dusty Flair. That was the first one that caught my eye. But then I look down and I look at the Von Erichsen Freebirds, and my God, the stories that you could tell from that one. I mean, Michael Hayes, Bam Bam, Terry Gordy, and Buddy Rogers breaking the arm. I think it was Kerry's arm that they broke, or was it Kevin's? I forget exactly. But like, there was just such a hatred between those, and just every time that those 6 were in the ring, the roof blew off the place. I mean, my God, everybody hated the Freebirds so much, and they wanted to see the Von Erichsen. The Von Erichsen just could not get it done until the very end. But when it goes to an all-around winner, my God, there's 2 legends: the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and that's 2 it's
Now, will the Rev throw a monkey wrench, or will it be you?
I hope so.
Overall?
I hope so.
What's a curveball, Rev? Or give us your honest opinion, whatever you think.
My honest opinion, and I could be biased. This deals with a root of mine that's very near and dear to me, but also looking at the transitioning between companies all the way up until the sweet victory that we have now. I'm going Steen Generico on the left.
Okay.
Let's see now on the right. I'm going to throw a little razzle dazzle in here. I'm going to go with, I'll throw it in here. I'll go Okada Omega.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I hope it's not over. I hope we see that one again later in the year. So out of Steen Generico, Okada Omega, got to pick one, Rev.
I'm going to go all the way with Steen Generico, all the way.
Yep,
right.
Absolutely.
That one might not be over either. I mean, they're together now. But
it's not going to be over for a far shot.
I don't think it is.
Somewhere down the road, we're going to have something that's similar to happen when it was Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. It's going to be something very.
You might be able to say
Can Bodie pick one?
Yeah, pick one, Bodie.
That's good. Which one did you want to pick? The best rivalry?
I think Punk MJF.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, that's his era, though. So he's gonna pick the Punk MJF. You know, he didn't see the Flair and Dusty. He's heard the stories from Dad, but you know, when it comes to, I just wanted to show that example because with being 8, that was what he saw. You know, Punk and MJF was such a build for him.
The Steen Generico one too. I think out of all these rivalries, they're the one that were together and apart. They were best friends. They're tag teams and they're apart. I don't know too many of those other ones. Maybe HBK and Triple H. That's another one, but that's a really cool dynamic. Best friends for so many years. And I think a lot of these rivalries might not be over. And that's the beauty of pro wrestling. And we might get a little more. So that's all.
Yeah.
I've been following these on Facebook, and I figured it'd be nice to throw our ideas out there and see what we thought. We're going to talk just a tad bit about Monday Night Raw coming up. I want to make some sense of something. I got a question to throw at you guys. We'll be right back. All right, let's move on to the one thing I want to talk about, Rock, is we're going to get into Dynamite and we're going to get into the Rev himself. I skipped it. Anyway, it's coming up. Let's talk about this first.
I listened to that podcast. I mean, personally, that's not something I would prefer to see.
I thought I had another one in between. Okay, never mind. We'll skip it. Yeah, this is something that people are throwing around. I got a little bit of opinion for it because, yes, is he past his prime? Yes. But Goldberg versus Punk or anything like that one time, I think is a moneymaker. He can't do what he used to do. Goldberg's not as good as he used to be, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing that I look at it as. It is a big name that WWE fans are used to right now, but maybe not a lot of the AEW fans. So I think it adds more eyes to AEW if the name Goldberg is just thrown in there. I don't want to see him long-term fighting a bunch of matches.
I don't want to see him wrestle again.
I don't want to see him wrestle again either.
But to have one match, this would get a little more eyes on AEW. That's just my opinion.
So let me just add something on this, Blaze.
That's all right.
So your argument is Goldberg coming could get more eyes on AEW based off a little bit of a crossover. If we have not received those eyes after a Mark Henry, a Daniel Bryan, a CM Punk already there, a Page already there. The list goes on. I can probably keep going.
You could. You could.
We don't have to sacrifice with quite this one.
Yeah.
I don't think. I think you got more eyes on TNA with The Rock just cutting a promo for a Hall of Fame ceremony than you would with Goldberg coming back in ring for one time only.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I will say about this is if this match were to ever be put together, they could pull it off. I mean, look what CM Punk did with The Undertaker. I mean, my God, he did carry him through that match, most of it. And I'm going to say it. I think CM Punk, one thing about him, love him or hate him, he could put somebody over and he could put somebody through a match pretty well and get him through it, and I think he could actually do that with Goldberg if this would ever happen, which I hope doesn't.
Two very polar.
I
who
disagree.
Going to help?
Even if it's Goldberg or somebody else, let's separate the two. I think we're going to see Punk at the end of the year anyway, but let's separate the two. Bring Goldberg in for one match. Maybe let Wardlow beat him or something. One match. All I'm asking.
I would say Wardlow. That'd be a great pass.
I would do that.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
I don't really want this match. But
what about Hobbs? What about throwing Hobbs in there? I think Hobbs was an underrated wrestler that proved it last night.
I mean, he's not underrated to me, but
now
I don't think they're giving him the credit he deserves in my eyes. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm hype about AEW recently. Great shows coming up. I think they got a great future. But right now, this is too much, in my opinion.
I think
Dark
it's
and Elevation,
not
a lot of people watch it. But I don't ever remember any show, any company, not even WWE or WWF, that had a show every damn day of the week.
Except
well, that's for the pay-per-views. So Ring of Honor, you can argue that's technically not AEW.
It is though.
But it is.
It's
like
entity,
their NXT,
but it's under the AEW umbrella. technically.
But Collision is the one that's coming up. And what I really want to talk about is it's going to be on Saturdays. And the word is right now 8 to 10. But what I want to know from you guys, and I'll start with you, Doc, separating the roster is what the rumor is right now. Split the roster, keep Punk over here for Saturday, try to separate. Do you think brand separation, Doc, would be a good idea? Or we talked about how AEW has a bloated roster all this time, so they can do all these shows. But what do you think, Doc? What's your take on adding another show?
I don't know. Like I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I mean, the whole Collision thing, is it Tony Khan just catering to CM Punk? Or is it an actual, hey, let's see what we can do with this other show? I mean, just the simple fact is, I mean, I hate to say this, but Tony Khan's favorite band right now is The Offspring because you got to keep them separated. I mean, it just drives me nuts. Oh, come on, that was a good one.
No, Mr. Man's an Eagle fan. He's watching the Eagles instead of going to.
Good. Keep watching the Eagles every night of the week.
And like I said, what I'm saying is that they're split. I don't know about splitting the roster though, because
I mean, I'm not saying red versus blue brand supremacy.
And I mean, I'm not going to ruin Ring of Honor for anybody because I know it was taped last night, but I'm just going to say there's people spilling over from AEW into Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
It's just, it's right now it's like a big hodgepodge full of, I don't know what to say about it. It's so hard to see I don't want to see a roster band split because you're just basically copying off of WWE. Yeah. Don't do that.
Well, unless they don't
this draft for WWE
brand split, they just use people over here that can't coexist with over here.
And what I've read is just the simple fact is you have WWE right now doing this whole draft thing. This is what you call the clean slate for Triple H. This is Triple H's foundation to paint on. This is why they're doing this, and I love it. I'm all for this just to see what he wants to bring. This is him full on bringing to the table with this draft hits. So let's see where it goes. But when it comes to AEW, man, I think it's an overhaul. I really do.
So we do have a draft next week. NFL draft on Thursday night. We got the Friday and Monday is the Triple H draft is what I'm calling it, because word on the streets that I've heard is this is what Triple H has been waiting for. The real Triple H era has been building up to this. From what I understand, this is when his really control goes forward. His idea, his vision of what he wants will start to come to fruition. I'm excited about it. I really am. Do you have a thought on this, Rev? This extra show in AEW's roster?
My thought is bringing Shane Taylor Promotions. That's my thought.
I like it.
You want to be different? You don't bring anyone that's on the current roster. Bringing someone that came from another era. They're dominated in another era. I say we finally pulled the trigger.
I'm down.
Bring them in. I'm all about it too.
Yeah. CJ, you kind of touched on it a little bit. Do you have any more?
I didn't. I do have more. I don't see it as being the same as the WWE.
Is it too much? Is it too much?
Do I think there needs to be a brand split? No. Would I like it? Yeah. I'd like to see more of guys like Miro. I'd like to see more of guys like Andrade when he's healed up. I'd like to see more of Shawn Spears. So I think if done right, it could be a very good thing. And it's more eyes on people that you might not see all the time. So in my book, and I know Rev, you'd agree with me, more eyes on some of our boys is always a good thing, in my opinion.
Well, that's what we'll talk about Dark and Dark Elevation. That's why I love those, because those give local talent wherever they're at a real shot to showcase what they can do. So I don't want to get rid of Dark Elevation. Maybe combine them to one instead of having one every day. It's a lot. I mean, yeah. I said it. I
like that idea.
I'm like, it kind of seems like Tony's like, I'm going to take them and I'm just going to have shows all the time so they have to watch my shit.
And he needs to hire a writer.
I think that's coming.
He can't do all this himself because once we get to Dynamite, I'll give my thoughts on that.
Yeah, you're not going to get a lot of disagreement on that because, yeah, it's a lot now. Plus, he's got his hands full. He can't do it all. Let's see where this goes next. I can't remember. I have it written down, but of course I don't always know. Dynamite. We have a fan in the audience there somewhere. Look up top, middle, the blue shirt was a great
purple.
idea, though.
Oh, the fat one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colorblind. Oh, geez.
Ah!
We thought it was Jason.
Yeah.
It could be Jason
Hey,
and Ray's
listen,
love child.
I'm not gonna lie. I did see that. That guy looked familiar, and about 3 things in front of him, I do see a mob boss down there with his security as well.
I do too.
Yep. Yeah. Let me tell you.
I do. Yeah, next to a guy that could somewhat maybe resemble Brutal Bob Evans.
Oh man.
Pittsburgh shows. Me and CJ. Well, we have talked about it. We were at all the Dynamites so far. So this one, I was really watching the crowd shots. I was like, who am I going to see? Because you normally see people from.
I saw a lot of people that support indie wrestling, so I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Actually, if you really want to get technical, if you look at the picture, right, the row ahead of me is Danny Moe and Zoe Sky, 2 of the best female wrestlers in this area. I'll say it.
So, Doc, these weren't your original seats. You got to tell the fans that story.
Oh yeah, I ended up on the
there?
side of the stage. I was sitting there. There was from the side exactly, and watched the first 3 segments. Up there was a drunk guy that kept getting up in front of Bodie. There was a drunk indie worker that failed out of, or no, he passed out of. He said he finished the whole IWC program, and nobody wanted him around. So he said he had too much heat to be in the business. And I was like, okay. So he's asking me how to get back in and if I could help him. And I'm like, all right, have another drink, buddy. No, I will talk to you later.
I want to know who that was.
Wait, I will tell you.
A PWX guy.
No, it was not. Wow, shit. But no, it wasn't. And my friend, if you look right above me, you see the there's a guy with a referee shirt. That is actually my teammate, Tommy Welsh, good friend of mine. He messages me and says, there's these 2 seats. And I'm like, dude, we're going to get kicked out. He's like, come on, just go for it. I had 1% left on my phone because it's a dinosaur. And I said to myself, you know what? Treat yourself. And I went for it. And I got away with it. And you know what? It was the best decision ever. He was happy. He was smiling. That's all he ever wanted is to be on TV, and he got his wish. So
Doc sent me a bunch of nice pics of the show, and I put a little video.
Some of these are Tommy's too. Some of these are
Tommy's on socials earlier. So we're gonna show that real quick. Just some highlights of the Pittsburgh show from last night at AEW.
Man, I'm fucking.
There's a little bit on the show last night, and we'll get into the actual card and our details here when I show the picture again. But I saw Lebanon Dawn posted something in social media, said, thank you, AEW. Does anybody know anything about that? Why he was thanking AEW?
He has connections with the cartel.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to mess with that man. That man yelled at me. He saw me. He was not happy to see me, and neither was Tito Orich.
He gets that good bam bam. That good Colombian bam bam.
In his big one.
Oh, no.
Woo! Hey, it's a day to
bit of
indulge.
sticky icky.
We got Brooklyn Joker in the building. It is 420, so if you indulge. Happy 420, everybody out there. So we want the smoke. We got the smoke right here. That's why we got our own smoke here. That's the Rev, Ron Hunt. And we're going to get into his stuff here in just a minute. But let's talk about this. The Four Pillars Tournament. The only thing I wished is I thought Ricky Starks should be in it and have 2 matches. You know, and they could still get the Ricky Starks and Shawn Spears angle within the match. But it's the only thing I didn't like is the fact that someone got a bye, and then, you know, I'm all for you know, my opinion is this is still going to end up with a 4-way.
I still think it's going to end up with a 4-way too, because I think MJF is going to piss off somebody, and they could even have Khan come out and say, okay, you know what? You have to defend your belt against all 3. You want to put these guys through it? Nah, they've been through enough.
He got in the mic and even said, hey, fuck you people, you're not going to get a 4-way. You're not going to get a 4-way. I think there's reason behind that. I think we're going to get a 4-way.
Well, of course
Rev,
there is.
What do you think, Rev?
I'm saying 4-way all the way.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
You guys
I think
agree?
it's the time that it finally catches up. All the karma finally catches up.
But I like the fact that they're not just saying, okay, we're going to have a 4-way. They're going to give a little story behind it.
4-way at Wembley and build up to it, which this is a really good way to showcase the talent again and get more eyes. But all those guys are very well known. But it only elevates, and Rev will know this as well as I do, you're only going to get better by working with people that are better than you. And I think that's a prime example of what this is. And I'm all for it.
Let's keep it going. We talked a little bit previous to the show here. The Outcasts and the JAS. We got a little reminiscent back from Steph and Triple H. You see there. You have a take on it. Tell us, CJ.
Yeah, here's my take on this, and I can't take complete credit for it. I have to give the credit to Bully Ray, but I do 100% agree. I feel like the Outcasts should have won that tag match. So then when Britt came out back later, that it's Pittsburgh. She's going to be over regardless, but I think there would have been more emotional connection had they lost that tag match and then her coming out to save Adam Cole. And Saraya, I love you to death. You are one of the greatest women wrestling of all time, but please give it some time to burn in between those kendo stick shots. Please.
Yeah. Good points. I dig it. Doc.
And the Jericho, that Jericho Cole segment should have ended the show.
Good point. So, Doc, here's what I want.
I thought the same thing, but go ahead. Didn't mean to
the mix of these two. Like to me, it makes sense to put the sports entertainers with the Outcasts. They're supposed to be. So I like the mix of these two, but like CJ said, I think it could have been done better. Doc,
I feel like it was rushed. And when I was out there, it just seemed like it was gone. Boom, done. And I was like, man, it seemed fast. Them under the ring really freaked me out because I was like, did they come through the crowd? And Bodie's like, they came under the ring. I was like, there's no way. He's like, yeah, Dad, they were under there. But what I thought about this was the simple fact is the Triple H and Randy Orton one was more antagonizing and more scrutinizing, I thought, than the one on the bottom. And I'll tell you why. Simple fact is he put his lips on Triple H's wife. He kissed her. He did more of a
maybe you should have tongue punched her fart box instead.
What I'm saying is it was just more wretched that you know that's your wife, that's the one you love being taken advantage of, not only physically but sexually by the person that you hate. This one on the bottom, however, you're taking somebody who's pretty much the queen of Pittsburgh when it comes to pro wrestling, and that's Britt Baker, and beating her in front of her parents and, of course, her fiance. And the simple fact that you had two factions actually say, you know what, let's work together on this, which was kind of like, I thought, pretty decent with the JAS and the Outcasts actually coming together for this. So, I mean, just the simple fact is you have two factions who hate, both these loved ones, this couple, and just completely ruined their day. And it was Britt's birthday too, which even made it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Britt's birthday too. So
I said it before the show too. I kind of like the realism of her yelling Austin when she was in pain. Like it brought a little more realism to him. And I dig it. I get the throwback, but I think it was a lot different than, like you guys are saying, it's a little different than the top one. Rev, what do you think about all this?
I would say I love how they were going with it. However, I feel like it was a very live house show move in the midst of a TV. I think it could have been projected better within the TV realm of things. I don't know if they had to deal with our the TV cuts, the emotion, even though it was trying to grab it to a certain extent. But, and I'm glad you have these two pictures together. I felt more of a connection with the 2009 Randy than I did with the 2023 Adam Cole. There was just something about it that gravitated you more, that you felt a part of it and you wanted to help out. It was something about it that was missing.
It was almost there.
Yeah, it's just something. it was close, but it was just something that was missing that could have finalized it from the sake of people at home being gravitated to it. And I don't know if that had to deal with, like you said, the rushing of it, not just letting some stuff register, or just by chance how it was done. I mean, let's be honest. We're pro wrestlers. You know, we go through tables, kick out or something. Next thing you know, we're doing a comeback. Do I agree with it? Not all the time. Right. So then we go from that to a couple of kendo sticks to put you down, and you're stretching,
rolling around.
Yeah, you're rolling around and you're stretching, saying, "Help me, help me."
That's a great point.
You can roll right out the ring. Technically, I mean, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
So different from, you know, the situation I have with Stephanie and Randy, especially with Stephanie not being a wrestler. So, you know, it was just some small things. You know, if it was me, I would have had Britt handcuffed on the other side of the ring, Austin handcuffed on the other.
Yep.
And you could have still did the same stuff, but now she's helpless. She can't.
Move.
She can't do anything. You know.
Well, the thing you said about Britt too, I've heard on other shows too. This is a woman we've seen in some really brutal matches, covered in blood. She could take a hell of a beating. Is a couple kendo sticks going to really hurt her that bad? But I get the idea. But
and as far as camera stuff goes, I kind of think, Rev, you were leaning towards this. Is they should have been showing like welts on her back from those kendo sticks.
Yeah. Everyone can register pain.
Yeah.
So we'll see where all that goes, but we have a little bit more to talk about from last night's. Well, the first thing I definitely want to hit is Wardlow winning the title back, and I've seen a lot of people already saying,
"Love it."
And I know you guys might disagree, but this isn't my opinion. This is what I'm seeing out there. Hot potato. It's bouncing back and forth.
It is, but I think for the most part, it's been done okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to hot potato. Because there's been story behind it. The only thing that I don't like about this is why can't Wardlow and Hobbs just have a fucking match without any other shenanigans involved in it? Just have a straight up fucking match. Someone wins, someone loses.
Yeah. Doc, how did this one come across live? Because you got Britt, got a big pop, the hometown girl, but then she got the beat down. First of all, how did the crowd react? Go from Britt getting beat down, and then the Wardlow win would it come off better live?
Yeah, the Wardlow win, they exploded, man. They were excited for him. You know, I mean, the simple fact is, like CJ said, the shenanigans kind of took away a little bit, but seeing one of my childhood heroes, Arn Anderson, get back in that ring and do like one or two things, yes, I was excited.
It was dope.
The Glock is back,
and then. I will, the Glock was back. But whenever Britt did get beat down, there was a very quiet undertone. They did. I mean, I will give that credit where credit's
which
due.
is what it should have done.
And that should have ended the show, though. Yeah, that would have been the perfect end to a show. Like, oh my God, did that just really happen? Like, you know, boom. That's the way you end Dynamite. Not Sammy and MJF rolling around in the ring expressing their love.
Let's continue before I go to Rev, Doc, because the consensus on a bunch of different shows, watching Fightful and a bunch of other podcasts afterwards last night, is that the show seemed to go down into the main event. It didn't seem like it went up, like you said. Even CJ said a different ending might have popped it. Did it seem that way live? That the main event seemed to come down. It came off that way on TV, in my opinion.
I could have been on TV. I could have been on a high because I had the best seats I've ever had in a wrestling match ever in Pittsburgh. But I just feel that, you know, I like I said, every segment had its ups and downs. Like the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. I mean, Acclaimed. You think they were from Pittsburgh?
There's a lot of segments last night, but like we talked earlier, it's building story that people bitched about AEW for so long. No story.
Can I point something out?
Sure,
real quick,
definitely.
Please. I like Commander. I will never discredit his talent and how athletic he is.
I know what you're going at.
But for me, some of the stuff, one, I think is unnecessary. We get it. You're athletic as shit. Please start telling the story. And two, when he does all these rope walks and jump ups, it gets a little bit sloppy at times for me.
Yeah. And I mean, Jay White could have let go. He just stood there holding him while he's bouncing on the ropes. But I think I heard
it was a great match.
Yeah,
it was.
And he is signed. Commander got the thing last night. Tony Khan, he is signed. But the idea behind it, is I heard that Commander is going to start to have it's going to start to hurt him, the fact that he's doing too many rope things. But that is his thing. He's super athletic.
I learned this from doing a Too Cold Scorpio seminar. I know Rev will agree with this. If you go out there and do all that wild stuff the first time people see you just to get a pop, there's really zero reason whatsoever for me to want to see another one of your matches.
Okay. Continue on that, Rev, and then let me know about the Wardlow stuff too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that was one thing, just to pop off what CJ said. I think that's perfectly spot on. And you have to think, the one thing that we looked at, and I remember I got this from Bully Ray when he was talking with Ring of Honor. He said, make sure you're not confusing people popping over the moves versus popping over you. Are they popping over the move, or are you getting a pop because they're invested in you? Because if that is the case, then guess what? Once you did it one time, and if you're just focused on the move, next thing you know, you got to pull out 2 shotguns. You got to pull out 3 shotguns. Yep. And you do it, you get your pop right there, and then it comes back down. And I think that was the same thing, respectively, for the main event. I mean, Young Boy, Sammy Guevara, I mean, they're athletic, they're talented, they do their thing. But at the same time, for me, I often tell people, are you looking to have match of the night, or are you looking to have moment of the year? It's about creating moments. There's going to be times when we just got to focus on, we just focus on matches. But let's create a moment. Let's create something that someone's going to remember, just like we're talking about an Undertaker and a Mankind, just like we're talking about a Rock and Cena. Those are moments. We'll forget the matches, but we won't forget moments. And I think sometimes right now there's a lot of potential. I love AEW. I love the product of AEW. There's a lot of potential. We just have to tune it up a little bit.
Yeah, fine tune.
I think we need to see Rev Ron Hunt in AEW at some point in time, in my fucking opinion.
I agree.
You never know, baby.
Riley Wolf, he's working up there in HOG in New York and other indie promotions up there. He's refereeing and
with
wrestling.
The SATs, big guys.
Big shout out to Riley Wolf in everything that you do, my friend. I'm watching you, and I'm hoping you continue to do great things up there in Hog and wherever you're working, my friend. Shout out to you. So that's Dynamite. That's how it broke down. I think, like I said, it's the first one that I missed here in Pittsburgh, but I hyped up the last couple Dynamites is got me so excited back into AEW. And the one last thing I want to point out, and some people were bitching about this, they didn't throw Jay White right into the top of the tier. I want to see him build up to prove he is one of the best in the world. I love what they're doing with him so far. And we'll see where that goes as well. FTR locked in for 5 more years as well. So there's none but good things. We have those huge cards coming up, All In, Forbidden Door. I am hype. Yes, sure. Riley, you can plug whatever you want, my friend. Go ahead, throw it in the chat. We've done enough with WWE and AEW. Let's talk about our special guest and what he went through this week on our local focus to close out the show. We'll be right back. So I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up one of our normal co-hosts here. He's not here, and I'm wondering where he is. I'm at
a black and white gala, so no, I am not watching.
He's not.
You Blase, you are very lucky that my good friend the Rev Ron Hunt is here, because had he not been, I was gone.
Can I get up?
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to talk about why the Rev Ron Hunt is here. Is this why?
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all.
You are the worst person on the face of God's green earth.
Thank you.
Overload.
I may have a super kick with his name on it.
Thank you, please.
Before we get to the Rev, we're going to give a little shout out to Doc and some friends of the show. And Doc, I don't know how you're still doing this at this age, playing hockey, my friend.
Yeah, this is the 5th championship. This team right here, Dorsia, that I put together almost a decade ago. Got some great guys on this team, and believe it or not, this one means more to me than anything because it was the first one I got to win in front of the little guy. So, like I said, my team Dorsia, great guys. Thank you guys if you guys are tuned in right now watching. So, like I said, it was an awesome victory. I was scared to play these guys, and the reason I was scared to play the other team, they were part of the NBHL, National Ball Hockey League, and they were tough customers, man. They had a guy on there that looked like Gunther. He looked like a young Gunther. He's from Russia, and every time I'd stop him, he goes, "Oh, nice days, yeah." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like it was freaky. But I will say, it was a hell of a victory. We pulled it together, and then 3-game series, we won game 3, and I actually shut the other guys. Like we shut them down, man. We shut them out.
That's what we got to point out. You're not just skating around. He's behind the net. He's in all that gear, suffering and slugging. So big shout out to you, Doc. Here we go.
Yeah,
tomorrow night, HOG hosting a student show in Asmar in Jamaica, Queens, and yours truly not only be wrestling as usually, but also be in a battle royal. Big shout out to you, Riley Wolf. Best of luck
to you up
Riley
there
at HOG, brother.
Tell SATs in that quiet storm I said, what up?
Maybe we'll have to bring you on.
SATs are my boys. Tell them STP still takes their offer. STP versus SATs.
Ooh. We got one more thing before I'm gonna make you wait for the Rev stuff. So we got one more thing to talk about before we get to Rev. And I didn't know about this till I saw it, but CJ's getting himself back in the ring in IWC now too. Tell us what's going on here.
I guess so. I mean, Plumber and his plum dumb security as well as Mr. David Lawless Esquire and Chris LaRusso found out last show that I didn't come to fuck around. I hit that finish from the side.
So here's my question. Is there any stipulation with this, CJ? Like if you and Jock were to lose, is there any kind of stipulation?
Yeah, Jock's career is over.
Wow.
The next time Jock,
so they're gonna try to just delete him out of this.
Yeah, but those two guys in the shades, who are you?
3-on-2 though.
Who are you? I mean, I'll take my. I like our chances. I do. I mean,
but you got to watch David Lawless though.
We got the GOAT. We got the one half of the former Firestorm Pro Wrestling Club DB Tag Team Champions and myself. I like our chances.
What's DB stand for?
Douchebag.
Okay. Just want to check that out.
And for those who've been following the show, the last couple shows.
And fuck you, Preston Everest.
I was just gonna say
I knew that was coming.
He's been in the ring with Preston Everest. We know CJ can still go. I'm just, maybe we can get the next Preston Everest match with no shenanigans.
Let me give, and again, this kind of ties into what we've been talking about all night. And I will always give credit where credit's due. Preston Everest is the future of this business. I have zero problem saying that, even though he's a shady bitch piece of shit. I'm going to be 42 years old, and I could still go in there. Am I in the best shape? No, but I'm going to play to my advantages and try and hide maybe some of the weaknesses with me being older, my body not being what it used to be. And I'm going to work smarter, not harder. Let's put it that way.
You should not. As much as I love you, CJ, and I'm rooting for you for every match, like you said, he's young. He's been wrestling. You have it. You should not beat him in any of these matches, but I know you will. I know you will.
I mean, I'm giving it my damnedest, but the kid is very good at what he does.
Maybe you need a cage match so there's no shenanigans. How about that?
I'm not opposed to that.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Let's get to the Rev. This is about him.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to get to him. I got a couple slides just so you guys can see and get a little bit of a feel how this went. And then we're going to get words from the Rev about what went down with him and J Rock in RWA this past week. I'm kind of jealous I didn't go down.
Fine butts and dudes.
I think I should have went down for this one. because it seemed to be a bloody mess. Oh, wait, we're going to make you wait a little longer. Doc, real quick, this tag team match we talked about last week.
It was a fatal 4-way for the RWA Tag Team Champion, and still your tag team champions, the Gambino brothers. They're best team in Pittsburgh. What can you say right now? You can't delete nor vacate that.
See, I had to make you guys wait a little longer for the Rev. Let's get to the meat of the story while we're really here. Rev Ron Hunt, J Rock.
Talk about my meat. Wow.
Inside of a steel cage. Yes, he came out with the white gear, the mask, fans in it, and that cage ready to go. A blood fest. And I mean, here, I have to kind of, you got something with whipping people, man. So let's go to here so you can whip on me a little bit too. The Rev likes whipping people's asses, literally. Now he's beating me up. The Rev, I mean, he's bloody. Look at the blood in this match, people. And this is a little confined area. This is, I'm sure that crowd was hot, but the man won it. He still has the championship. We talked about Revy 5 belts earlier. It looked like you took a lot of punishment, but you came out still holding the heavyweight championship. Rev, it's your time, my friend. Tell me about the lead up to the match, your feud with J-Rock, and this bloody freaking mess.
Absolutely. Always good to join you guys. Always good to see the progress of the show. But yeah, man, it was one of those things to where it kept going. And it you have to think this slowly started right after the pandemic or so, shortly before, right after. And it's just one of those guys that felt like he didn't get his due. There was an excuse for everything leading up to it. So I told Phil, man, we got to figure out a way to get to the bottom of this. My last straw was, you keep getting involved in my business. I end up getting a little radical. I'm not going to lie. One of our commentators accidentally got hurt, and I was suspended for a show. And I said, the last thing that you're going to put on me is the caliber of person and the athlete that I am. So Phil Bennett made the executive decision that we get locked in a steel cage. Everybody knows, everyone that's had an opportunity to be in a steel cage knows you are not the same person when you come out. That is the most blood that has ever left my body. Ever. In 10 and a half, 11 years of being in this, that's the most blood that has ever left my body. And even now, I still don't feel the same. I still feel like a part of me is missing. But you know what's not missing? This RWA championship. That's what's not missing. That's why I'm still Revy 5 belts. That's why I'm still the savior of professional wrestling. That's why I am who I say I am. The only one that transitions this business and makes anybody that steps in a ring with me have an out-of-body experience. That's who I am. So when it comes down to it, your man is still standing tall, still standing with that extra poundage in the suitcase, and still standing your RWA heavyweight champion. And I tell you, boys, it feels good. But I do know that it is not over. Because little dum-dum by the name of Tony Kincaid said, I got a guy that I'm facing that I have a long history with coming up for RWA in May. And I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, that's well said. So Doc, he mentioned a man that got hurt, a fellow commentator. Let's bring on Tony Kincaid. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Doc would cry.
I won't do that again. So, from a commentator's point, Doc,
I wouldn't cry. I would just be fucking annoyed. But I will say this about Tony Kincaid's threat to the Rev Ron Hunt during the RWA Aftermath show, springing the fact that Christian Noir is who he's bringing in to take on the Rev. I've known Tony Kincaid for a long, long time, and this is the most sadistic, angry, and vengeful I've ever seen him. Rev, listen, as your friend, Christian Noir is dangerous, and I know that you and him are no strangers to each other, but I'm just saying, if Tony, by any chance, were to be accompanying Christian down to the ring, I would definitely keep your head on a swivel, especially because it's going to end up turning into a 2-1 match, and I hope you slap the shit out of him.
Doc. Let me give you a homework assignment, Doc. I've known you for some years. We've traveled.
Here we go.
Look me in my eyes, Doc. Tell me, what do you see?
I see the RWA heavyweight champion. I see relentlessness. I see hard work. And I see one of the best wrestlers in Pennsylvania today.
The sky is the limit, Doc. There's a reason why I wear this mask. A lot of people ask me. I'll tell you for the first time here publicly on WrestleSense.
Sweet.
There is a certain level of aggression that you have to go to. Being in that ring, inside of that steel cage, locked down with J Rock Daddy, let me know that there's still a different level of Ron Hunt that I can travel to. I love all of my fans. I can't do what I do without them. But I also had to be real with myself in order to be the best that I can for all of my supporters, in order to be the best that I can for all of my fans, in order to be the best that I can for the companies that I represent, in order to be the best that I can for my family. I have to go to a deeper level just to make sure I make it out alive. And that is an unfortunate truth that I had to settle with myself. So behind this mask is ill will, bad intention, grit, tenacity, aggression, unforgiving, and unrelentless retribution. There's a scripture in Exodus that said when they can see the glory, the great architect of the universe's face, you said you can't see my face because no man has seen my face and lived. So just know from now on, any time that this mask come off, I promise you death is nearby. And it doesn't have Ron Hunt's name on it. It has whoever's name on it that's standing across that square circle from me. And when it comes to RWA, unfortunately, friend, foe, fellow tag partner, whoever it may be, their name is on the list of death. And I shall feast.
This man means business. Real quick, CJ, you've known this guy for a long time. Have you ever been in a steel cage match, first of all?
Have I? I have not been in a steel cage match. I've come off the top of a steel cage as a referee. It really changes your mental capacity. And I agree. You come out, you are not, or will you ever be the same person again for the rest of your life. That changes you. It changes you. It's nothing to joke around about or lollygag. It is all. It's your life is on the line, and what you do is put your body on the line to prove your ultimate supremacy, which we saw at RWA. So, I mean, I don't know Christian Noir like I know the Rev. And if I were Christian Noir, I would probably take out a life insurance policy on myself.
So, CJ, so in your series of matches with Preston Everest,
yes,
if there's a cage match option, you step it into a cage?
Fucking right I am. I'm not thinking twice about it.
I love it. I love it. Hey man, it's always a pleasure to have the Rev on. I got goosebumps from what you just said, my friend. And for real, if you guys haven't seen anything of the Rev Ron Hunt, if you're not following him, in the description of this podcast, all the links to the Rev, everything, you can follow him. Check out him on Coffee with Rev in the morning. I checked him out this morning. It was a blast. Mad respect to the Rev for every dozen. And what CJ and Doc said, they've known Rev a lot longer than me, but it's true. This is no doubt the best wrestler in this area, if not a
That is
wide area. And I'd love to see you continue what you're doing. Revy 5 belt ain't no reason you can get more, and he's going to keep piling it on. How many companies are you currently fighting in, Rev?
I lost track at the bare minimum. At least
I'm counting for you.
8
Hold on. 2P.
The man fights anywhere against anybody, and that's
Yeah,
The
what's
man's
so-
busy,
Very
and that's a very good thing.
I'm already at 6. So
Well, I said it earlier when I announced it. If you guys missed it, he is the current Fight Underground champ, the Pit Fight champ, the
Fight
Eclipse,
Underground.
the
Jesus.
Eclipse
Hey,
heavyweight
listen,
champ.
wait till you see what I got for that one.
I love it. I can't wait.
Even KSWA tag champ, and that glorious belt you got around your waist and on your shoulder right now. Hey man, props, and I can't wait to see what's next for the Rev. But you know how we do it around here. Before we go, we got one last thing to do. So I normally go last on this, but I'm going to let our special guest go last on this. I'm going to go first. This summer, I'm going to, on this channel, introduce the Summer WrestleSense. We have 52 shows that were on the Blaze Radio channel that weren't on this channel. So on days that we're off, I'm going to start re-releasing from episode 1, which we actually called Real Deal. We were Real Deal Podcast at first before we got our own name. I'm going to go all the way back to number 1 and re-release them all, premiere them on this channel. I'll be in the live chats. You guys can experience again. We did greatest tag teams, greatest stables, the history. We talked about cage matches tonight. We talked about the history of cage matches and confined areas in wrestling. So I'll be bringing you episodes 1 through 52 throughout the summer to revisit. And I encourage all you guys, share this out. If you're watching the replay, please leave us a comment so I know you dropped by. Give a shout out to the Rev, ask him a question, whatever. I hope this is definitely not the last time he's on here as well. We'll bring him back. But at the end of the day, for me, I will be live right after this with some LTD EFED action for you guys and gals out there, part of that. And we're going to go to CJ at the end of the day, my friend.
At the end of the day, first and foremost, support all wrestling, but support your local indie wrestling, because without that support, we don't have the opportunity to do what we do, to be able to grow and possibly become your future national television stars. And I don't think you guys ever really hear me toot my own horn, and I wouldn't call this tooting my own horn. I'm just simply stating facts. Current, future people in training, please, for the love of God, tell a story and make that emotional connection with the crowd. It's not only going to make your jobs a lot easier, but your body will thank you.
Wow, well said. Doc, at the end of the day, it's hard to follow. There we go for
Two
it.
things. At the end of the day, number one, after seeing that picture of me on TV, I'm definitely hitting the gym Monday and starting again. Fuck, CJ's right.
I was just busting you, Chuck.
I'm jealous.
No,
Yeah,
that pouch is starting to come back. And number two, watching what Rev said and listening to those words, that's what it's all about, man. It's all about the fight, the hunger. And, Rev Ron Hunt has shown that ever since I've met him in this business. He's not only a friend to me, he's a brother to me. And the simple fact is this: nothing but love for this guy right here. And I know he's going to go farther in this business than anybody ever sees. Mark my words.
Amen. Amen. So the man of the hour, our first ever guest on the show, way back with our first wrestling spotlight, and now back again, Rev Ron Hunt. Hey, I've seen a side of you I didn't even know you had, because I've only known you for a little while. So at the end of the day, from the Rev Ron Hunt.
At the end of the day, make sure you tell someone that you love them. This life is too short. This business is too short. Make the memories. Make sure you tell someone that you love them and you're not above the company. Put the work in, not only when the cameras are rolling, but when the cameras are turned off. Wrestling owes us nothing. We owe wrestling.
Wow.
Mhm.
Amen. Preach on. That's why they call him the Rev, people. If you didn't know, now you know. And follow this guy because he is going places, my friend. You are the best I've seen in this area in a really long time. And
Much love and appreciation to you.
I love having you as part of the WrestleSense family, my friend. Big shout out to the
By
Rev.
the way, if I could just add in one, and I wasn't going to say it, but Doc, this is out of love. I love you, and I want some milk jugs from the side.
Yes!
Best way to end it. Peace and
Yeah,
positive.
You gotta end on that.
We'll see you next week with the draft, baby. Peace and shout out to Rev.